from its hitch. Delia shouted out the window of the van.
"You can do it, Daddy!"
Vero called out, "May the odds be ever in your favor." My mother gave him 2 thumbs up through the glass, and Zach cheered. I grabbed Stephen by the back of his puffy vest as he rolled up his sleeves. "This is insane! There's a Walmart at the next exit. We can get Zach another blanket. I'll rub some apple juice and car grime on it. He'll never know the difference."
"He doesn't want another blanket. He wants that one," Stephen said, pointing across the highway. "And I'm going to get it for him."
"What are you trying to prove?" He whirled on me, hot breath steaming from his lips.
"What am I trying to prove?"
He gaped at me as if the answer should have been obvious.
"I'll tell you what I'm trying to prove.
Stephen's blue eyes grew suddenly wide, focused on something behind me. I turned, my spine going ramrod straight as a state trooper eased onto the shoulder of the highway behind us, rolling to a stop a few yards away. I stole a backward glance at my mother's SUV. Vero sank lower in her seat. Stephen frowned at the officer as he got out of his car and strode toward us.
"Car trouble?"
the trooper asked, removing his sunglasses and tucking them into his coat. Stephen crossed his arms over his chest, his lips thinning as he was forced to meet the trooper's gaze.
"No trouble."
The officer glanced at the Virginia license plate on the back of my mother's vehicle.
"Where are you folks headed?"
"Pennsylvania," I supplied helpfully, as Stephen grunted,
"New Jersey."
The officer's brows knitted, and I rushed to add, "We're taking the scenic route through West Virginia, a road trip, sort of a family vacation." I took Stephen's arm in mine, pinching him through his sleeve before he could utter a word about why we'd circumnavigated the entire state of Maryland to get here. "See, our son accidentally lost his blanket out of the window as we were driving. He's 2, I explained, gesturing to the shredded fabric snapping in the wind at the edge of the median. The trooper planted his hands on his belt, the sides of his jacket spreading around it, revealing his holster and his handcuffs as he squinted across the highway to see Zach's whoopee.
"I sure hope your husband wasn't planning on trying to retrieve it."
"He's not my husband," I corrected. Stephen turned to me with a look of disgust.
"Is it really necessary to point that out?"
"And of course he wouldn't attempt to retrieve it," I added with a stern look at him. "Because that would be a completely idiotic thing to do."
"Not to mention illegal,"
the trooper said. "Exactly. I was just telling him the same thing, but my ex-husband," Stephen interjected, "can be a little bullheaded when it comes to listening to me. I told him we should just buy another blanket."
"You can't just replace something like that," Stephen snapped. "Zach doesn't want a new blanket. That one is comfortable. It's familiar. It has history. But apparently history doesn't mean anything to you."
"The blanket isn't worth saving, Stephen."
"Our children believe it's worth saving, and so do I."
The trooper stepped in front of him as Stephen pivoted toward the highway.
"Put 1 foot over that line, sir, and we're going to have a problem. I understand wanting to look like a hero for your kids, but they don't want to see their father splattered all over the highway, and I'd sure hate to have to arrest you in front of them. Your family is better off if you just let it go."
"Would it be such a crime to let him try?" Vero called through the open window. My mother clapped a hand over Vero's mouth. Stephen's jaw clenched. I tugged him toward my mother's SUV before he could give the trooper one more reason to arrest him. "Thank you for stopping to check on us, officer. It was very kind of you. We'll just be going." We had a whoopee to replace. Oh, and a stolen car to find, a boyfriend to rescue, a mob boss to avoid, and a painfully long road to Atlantic City still ahead of us. Chapter 1. 9 hours earlier. Vero hadn't so much as glanced up from the ransom note in her hand since we'd left her cousin's garage, when she'd handed me the keys to one of Ramon's loaner cars and slumped down in the passenger seat, reading and rereading the single sentence on the sheet of paper like it was a puzzle that might solve itself if she stared at it long enough. I turned down the long gravel drive, checking the number on the rusted mailbox against the address printed on the custody agreement my ex's attorney had sent me before the holidays. As I rounded the last bend, I breathed a sigh of relief when Stephen's F-150 came into view. I pulled the loaner car beside it and cut off the engine, ducking in my seat to get a better look at the 2-story farmhouse as I took a moment to collect myself. It was 8:30 a.m. on a Friday in late January, but it felt like an entire year had passed since I'd seen my children yesterday. We should figure out exactly what we're going to tell him before we go.